Have you ever had one of those days? One of those days where you find yourself just saying over and over, "Oh God, how could I have done that? How could I have been so stupid? How could I have said that?" All of us have days where we realize we've done something really wrong. Let me tell you a story about Luis Palau, an evangelist from South America. One day, Luis was confronted in his office by a woman who had asked for an appointment under false pretenses. Her name was Maria Benitez Perez. And once she got into his office, she made it quite clear what her real purpose was, because she was secretary to the Communist Party in Ecuador, and she denounced God and denounced Jesus Christ at every step of the way. She couldn't say enough ugly things. But instead of getting defensive or ugly, Luis listened to her, and he tried to respond to her as gently as possible at every point. And as she continued to talk, she began to talk about her own life, and she began telling Luis her life story. And as it unfolded, it became quite clear that it was a life that was full of pain and suffering and sin. And finally, when she finished her story, she looked at Luis and she said, "Luis, is there any way God could accept a person like me?" And without hesitating, Luis opened his Bible to Hebrews 10:17 and read, "Their sins and lawless acts I will remember no more." Well, Maria couldn't believe this. And she said, "No, you don't understand." And so she recited all the terrible things she'd done for the Communist Party, all of the terrible things she'd done in her life. And when she finished, Luis repeated to her, "Their sins and lawless acts I will remember no more." Maria couldn't believe it. She recited her sins to Luis 17 times. She went through the entire list 17 times, and 17 times Luis Palau said the same thing to her, "Their sins and lawless acts I will remember no more." And finally, after the 17th time, Maria Benitez Perez bowed her head and gave her life to Jesus Christ. All of us need forgiveness. All of us have done things that we deeply regret. I mean, in the epistles of St. Paul, they say, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. All of us have had really bad days. And when you don't know where to turn, when you don't know what to say, because sometimes when you really screw up, there is no way to apologize. The person's got on a plane and left. Sometimes they've died. There are all sorts of circumstances where you cannot get to the person that you've harmed. And then I would suggest to you, turn to God. Ask God to forgive you, and He will. But all of us have had really bad days, and the church is here to help you.